Deadbolt, Don Peoples, let's talk about it. So, we got to speak on this situation recently where Snoop Dogg sat down with Big Boy's neighborhood for an exclusive interview where he had some choice words about my man, God bless the dead, Tupac Shakur, and just spoke on things that maybe should have been talked about a lot earlier than 20 plus years from now. So let's get into it. So it looks like my man Snoop Dogg, aka Big Snoop, he had a lot to say about my man Pac, man. And, for those who's been connected to this situation as far as following Death Row and, Tupac and Snoop's journey, we all knew from the jump that Snoop was jealous of Pac because Pac had the charisma that Snoop never possessed. Snoop was strictly going off gang banging and smoking weed. Pac more so charismatic, going off of energy and obviously pushing that thug life, baby. And Snoop, at the end of the day, just like anybody else, it's a healthy competition, but I think it was a competition. I think once Snoop got defeated and everybody knew that Pac was the clear cut number one on Death Row, I think it was a situation at that point where the jealousy might have started because at that point you got Suge Knight gravitating all the way to Pac, and Pac is up under Suge's wing and, running with the die moves, and, he out here thugging and, making millions of dollars, movies, the whole nine. Now, was Snoop getting his paper? Yeah, Snoop was getting his paper, or getting his fame, obviously, from, his album and the success of Murder Was the Case and Doggy Style and, just Snoop being who he was. But that just go to show you how much Pac outshined everybody, not just Snoop. He outshined everybody. It wasn't just a situation to where, Pac didn't outshine other people. He was the number one go-to. And, I think Snoop just didn't like that. And maybe also just the treatment he probably was getting from his label boss, Suge. When a lot of things started going towards Pac, ultimately, Snoop gonna be like, man, look, I was the one that helped build this, kickstart what we was doing. If it wasn't for me, maybe Pac never wanted to even come to the label. I was one of the heavy hitters. So I can see why maybe Snoop could have felt a certain type of way. But I think when that never should have been held towards Pac, because if Pac rocked with you, Pac rocked with you. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't a situation where if Pac didn't rock with you, he gonna act phony with you or nothing like that. But it's like, I think where he turned on you at is where, you sided with Puffy and just publicly admired Puffy. And I understand that all y'all was cool before the Death Row and all that stuff. But I think ultimately when your label mate come on and, you riding with him and y'all selling all these records, you got to ride with him and do right or wrong, and I think Pac expected you to be loyal, where each side could have been looked at differently. Like if you was rocking with Puff and you like, look, man, all this shit is fake, made up, selling records. I don't need to do all that. I was already selling records. And now you taking, this East Coast, West Coast thing to push and propel your career, which, Pac was benefiting off of. And, Snoop had his little New York with Dog Pound and all like that, but he pretty much stayed out of it for the most part. You feel what I'm saying? And, I think, he sold records and did all that without that East Coast, West Coast whole beef and vibe and stuff like that. And I think, he was right to kind of stand on their friendship, as far as him and Puff. But Pac didn't see it that way. See, Pac looked at it like, look, man, it's ride or die. We La Familia. This Death Row. But, Snoop looking at it like, look, man, these are relationships. And we can tell just by how Snoop moves today, where Snoop is cool with everybody. Who in the game hates Snoop? And I think that persona, he always had that. So I think Snoop got along with everybody, and I do think that him and Puffy were genuinely friends. And that's the reason why he didn't like when Pac was coming at him with the hit him up, coming at Biggie and all like that. I think underneath, he was probably telling Puff, on private phone conversations, like, look, man, I ain't rocking with this dude. You know, he just doing this shit to sell records. He hyping all this stuff up. I can see Snoop being on that type of time. And like I said, when Pac chumped him off, on the flight and was coming for his neck, that really ended their friendship. And he didn't like him. And he probably despised him. And like Snoop said, when Pac died, they wasn't rocking. They didn't get a chance to reconcile their beefs or their situations. And I think Snoop just always had a problem of just being in the shadow of the West Coast legends. Tupac, Dr. Dre, Suge, and Eazy-E. Those are the legends. And, you fall after that, so to speak. And even though you've had a wonderful career, obviously you got countless number ones and just hits all across the board, but you'll never be looked at as Tupac. Like Tupac was that guy. So when you give these, fake, apologies or when you speaking on behalf of Pac at Pac's, inaugurations and all that type of stuff, like you speaking from a place of you really didn't rock with my man. Like you really didn't like Pac and what Pac stood for. Let's just keep it a bean. And that's what I respect the most. But you rode that wave of Pac's my man, Pac's my nigga, all the way to the end for over 20 years after he passed away. And now you want to come out and say that you wasn't feeling certain things and that you and Pac really wasn't rocking and stuff like that. I mean, I just feel like, man, you didn't like Pac from the jump because Pac came and immediately snatched your shine and immediately took your position at the row and made you expendable. And that's what you didn't like at the end of the day. And when you look at it and you look back, was you right to stand on certain things? Yeah, you was right to stand on your friendship with Puff. If y'all really was rocking and big, you was right to do all that. But I think it would have been the manly thing to do was for you to, use your influence and use who you was. Like, as far as like, you know what I'm saying? You big crippin' and stuff like that. Like, you could have had something to say to stop that whole thing, And you probably did try to have talks with Pac, but Pac was on a wrecking train, But, at the end of the day, I think still speaking on that situation and now trying to spice it up like, oh, yeah, me and Pac really wasn't messing around. Oh, yeah, I didn't like that hit him up. I told him, I wasn't feeling that, that you buying problems and, stuff like that. I think, at the end of the day, Snoop need to leave that alone. Like I said, you wasn't rocking with Pac. Pac wasn't rocking with you. It's unfortunate. Y'all could have made some real, Pac would have been still alive. Who knows if y'all would have patched it up or not, But I just think now with the cat being out the bag, no need for you to speak on Pac in a positive light or give, award speeches and all that type of stuff. I think we need to leave that alone. But the real reason, like I said, Snoop wasn't rocking with him is because he got his fame snatched from him. And I don't think he never recovered from that. But y'all get in the comment box, man, and let me know what y'all think, man. Do y'all feel like Snoop was the jealous guy in the background, in the back of the room? Like, my pockets is getting a little thin since you came around here? Or do you feel like Snoop was right to stand on certain things which could have compromised their relationship? But I want y'all to get in the comment box and let me know what y'all feeling, man. Y'all like, subscribe, share, hit the notification tab so y'all can tap in every time I drop a video. It's your boy Don Peoples. Deadbolt. Gone.